Hello, hello there. Hello, early childhood education community. My name is Bettina Atwill, and I'm one of the facilitators of this group. Hello and good evening, and happy World Classroom. Happy World Outdoor Classroom Day. It's now November 4, 2021, here in Wadawarong country, and I would like to pay my respects to the past, the present, and emerging custodians of this land. I'm always so grateful to be learning from this country where I live in right now, which is in Australia. And I'm also very grateful to be learning from other practitioners, other educators, and advocates who love to share what they know and share their passion, especially when it comes to learning outdoors. This is one of my passions, and this is one of the whys of why this group is even here. So today we are going all the way to the UK, and we are meeting Chris. Very, very special guest today. This is not an everyday thing. So usually I always have a live alone, and today we're joined with a very special guest. So if you are here and if you're watching us live tonight, please make sure to comment, make sure to put that love heart button on and just give us some love because Chris actually has some things coming up and he has some things to give you tonight. So make sure you make yourself visible, participate, and you'll be blown away by tonight's conversation. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Chris.
Hello. Hello,
Okay,
ladies.
here he is. Hi.
Hi, Bettina. Good morning, good evening to you. Yeah, hello to now.
Hello, good
Where?
morning to
Yeah,
you. So it's it's 10:30 a.m. where you are right now, right?
it is. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. The
how
day is beginning. We're sort of getting up and going. Yeah, looking forward to the rest of the day. Yeah, nice to see you in the evening. I guess it's
yeah,
it's kind of evening cup of tea time at your place, is it?
it is.
Hmm.
So the day's
Yeah.
ending for us and it's beginning for you. So I'm so excited
Oh,
to for your day today. And we're
yeah.
so
Thank you.
honored to have you start your day with us today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Chris, I really wanted to write something up when I was researching about you and your work today. And then I found this video I thought that everyone should see. It's on your website, and I thought it just summed up everything that you do. And it also talks about the importance of what you do. So I this is the best way I think we can introduce you because this is just you and
Okay.
your words, and it's just it sums up everything. So I'd like to show this video. Do I have the permission to show it to all our
Yeah, go
right?
for it. Yeah, please do.
Yay.
Thank you.
Okay, so all of you who are watching tonight or this morning, wherever in the world you are, I just want to say hello again. And please come in, get participate, tell us where you're from, where you're watching from. Chris has some really, really great gifts to hand out later tonight. So please stay tuned. And before we get into what Chris does, I really want to introduce him with this video that he's got. So here we go. I'm just going to take myself out.
Website. Thanks a lot for dropping by. I'm here to help you develop your connection to nature, both of your internal nature and of this wonderful world that we live in. Although I'm based here in East Devon, I travel about the country to work with schools and businesses and individuals and organisations. Occasionally I'm lucky enough to travel further afield too with my work. And I've also written this fabulous book here called I Love My World, which is a hands-on playful nature connection guidebook. So what do I actually do for a living? Well, I go into schools and I run workshops and enrichment programs. I work with the teachers to help them use their outdoor spaces more. I work with outdoor educators and give them ideas, sort of nature connection games and activities. And I teach something called the Natural Musicians as well, which is changing the way that we are teaching music in primary schools and taking it outdoors. It's also a fabulous nature interpretation activity set. I do team building with businesses. I also run family camps and I lead forages and I teach bird language courses. I'm also a storyteller and a musician, and I'm increasingly being invited to speak at conferences and run workshops. I also love surfing in my spare time, and one morning a week I go and work just down the hill over there at a friend's small holding where they do a veg bag business. So I go and get my bag of veg for the family each week as well. So there are many benefits to nature connection. It's increasingly being proven that there are mental and physical health benefits to being outdoors. It's not just the fact that you have the lower stress levels. By learning new skills, survival skills like rubbing sticks together, shelter building, foraging for your own food, this helps with self-reliance and self-esteem, as well as just feeling connected and uplifted by knowing a little bit more about all these interconnections that we have with the rest of the land, because the land is where we come from. We've grown up out of it because we need all the vegetables and the animals and everything that we share this land with to survive. So in my opinion, it's beneficial for us to live as if people and planet matter. I'm here to help you develop a connection to yourself, to others, and to nature, to help you find your natural talents, maybe your natural voice, to help you to find things to eat and to be more in harmony with the land, to hopefully develop some new skills and maybe some attitudes towards nature and the people and creatures and plants that we share this planet with, to help you relax, to reconnect, and hopefully to reawaken. So please do explore some of the links above. I think you can also sign up over there to get a free sample copy of my book, and let me sort of get in touch with you by sending you a newsletter every so often. That was a mouthful. So yeah, that's it for now. Thanks a lot for dropping by, and I wish you a very lovely day.
All right, thank you. That was really, really a great way to get to know you, Marcus. It seems like you do so much for your community.
Well, I like to think so. Although, I'm sure we could always do more. Depends on your perspective, I suppose. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
certainly looking forward to going and working in school today, because that is my local community, and I love working with the kids there. Yeah.
So you have can you describe the community you live in? Do you live in a small close-knit community, or is it a pretty busy and bustling community that you live in?
Well, it's quite new to me. I've actually sort of divorced at the beginning of this year actually. So I've moved home into a sort of a new area, but that
Mhm.
new area I do have quite strong with connections with anyway. So it does feel like I'm really beginning now to make roots in this local community, and I'm really grateful for the support that I'm getting from, the local school is one of the places I've been working for about 7 years, and then regularly for the last 5. So it feels like that's quite a good hub. It's a small coastal town in East Devon, but I live about a mile away on a small holding which is operated or run by some friends of mine, and so I live with them, and a part of my rent is also helping them out. So I do sort of 5 hours a week on the small holding, or helping look after their kids, or making sure that the chickens away at the end of the day and stuff like that. So um, yeah, it feels very nurturing, and within our sort of wider community, we do have regular um, seasonal gatherings. Like just a few nights ago, we had a lovely meal and music session um, with people for Samhain. So just to celebrate the passing seasons of the year, and it's Diwali today as well. So
Yeah, it
um,
is. Yeah.
it's yeah, that's good to have the triumph of the light over the darkness at this time
Yeah.
of the year. It's interesting.
I was trying to find the
Yeah.
connections of Diwali, of how we can connect Diwali tonight with nature. And it'd be interesting to hear what you have to say. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's. I think sometimes. Well, I'm not 100% sure. These are just thoughts off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But because Diwali is in the northern hemisphere, and here and it's set at this time of year, then in a way it feels um, like opposite, because we're just going into the darkest time of our year now here in the northern hemisphere. And so even though Diwali is about the triumph of light over darkness, I look for the sort of metaphor of like, well, without darkness there wouldn't be any light. And so there's a similar story here um, in England about the holly and the oak tree, and how they are continually in battle. You've got the spiky um, evergreen leaves of the holly, and then you've got the curvy edged leaves of the oak tree. And so how the oak is actually the sort of the king of the summer, and the holly is the queen of the winter, and they're
Oh,
sort of constantly battling through the year.
yeah,
Um, and but yeah, without one there wouldn't be the other. And so in the deepest time of darkness, that's when it's easiest to find the light.
the light.
So
That's
mm,
so deep. Yeah. And I guess that's like when you think about Diwali in the northern hemisphere and in another in where you are right now, where it's starting to get dark, and then you can think about how they're called when you think about globalization in a sense where cultures are coming together. You think about that there's some sort of beauty. You can't help but think about the beauty there, because they're in the northern hemisphere. You've got the celebration of light, shining light, and they you can kind of see how if people in your country celebrate it, and it's you're saying when you look at nature, it's starting to become one of the darkest seasons of the year, and then you kind of can't help but appreciate this other culture that's celebrating light.
yeah, and how appropriate it would be to, if we celebrated all the celebrations that were happening globally through the different kind of religions or faiths and things. I think that would be really respectful and honoring, and give us a
Yeah,
bit more of kind of joy in our lives too.
exactly. So much joy, because
Mm.
there'd be a celebration every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And
You wouldn't
I
get any
guess,
work done.
yeah, a great way to really understand diversity and understand different cultures. Maybe that's how we can really shell and shed out our cultural barriers
Mm.
and become more empathetic and understanding of each other and have more compassion.
I think so. Yeah, through festivals is a really good way to do it. And not only does it tune you into the seasons and the cycles of nature, but also, each other. Yeah, diversity is such a important thing to respect, isn't it?
Yeah,
Really
and
need that.
it's so it seems like over the years we seem to have kind of separated ourselves maybe from nature, that we are starting to forget that we are natural beings as well, and we belong to the land, we are part of the land, and instead we don't think about it that way. We end up taking the land for granted, and I think this is like one of the things that propel me to do these things and interview advocates such as you is because
Mm.
this is really crucial for us to get back into connecting with our true selves as our true natures and with the land as well. And I'd love to know like what you how you explain this to the teachers and make them understand how important this is.
Oh, that's a big question. Yeah, especially if I find that quite difficult in this country because Britain, being part of the sort of capitalist global um, sort of empirical culture has been very much, in my mind, a big part of the adoption of this idea that we are separate from nature and that the resources of nature or the resources of other countries are ours to take as and when we like. And so that's quite embedded in our sort of cultural history and assumption. Um, and so what I do is, as a storyteller, I tell stories to the teachers and the children, and sort of sharing different stories from around the world that give us a different window on how we can perceive nature, and that and hopefully the stories help us kind of see ourselves as part of nature and an important part of the uh, stewardship in a way, or the caring or the custodians of the land, and that we need to be in conversation with the landscape and the creatures that live there, and to try and find a way to meet our needs equally. And I think for me, storytelling is one way, and also through the outdoor education that I do, helping children. This is kind of inspired by Joseph Cornell, really. He was an American educator, and when I did a degree in environmental science, I came upon him as an educator, sort of sharing ecological principles through games and activities, and thought, this is what I want to be doing, because it's a natural way for children to learn. I think grown-ups too, to learn through play, and because it's embodied learning. I'm really into embodied learning. Um,
Yeah, so
so
true.
yeah, so in a way, through games, stories, skills, outdoor learning. That's how I do what I do. Yeah.
Great. And I love how you really talk about storytelling because I've came across storytelling a few years ago when I realized how sustainable storytelling is. Because you
Hmm.
don't really need anything and you don't leave a carbon footprint, but the learning that can you can tease out of a single story is so open-ended. And so do you have particular themes that you like when you share your stories with the children?
When themes, I would say yes. That all of the stories that I tell have uh, a theme of the animals are equals. That the earth is a place to be respected. That yeah, so, but what I'm just thinking of what I'm working with at the moment, and with the children at school, and I'm not actually doing much story-led learning, but I'm thinking ahead to just before Christmas, and the theme that I've got in the storytelling sessions at school then are to do with is kind of how fire came to be, and
Ooh.
how humans came to learn how to rub sticks together and make fire, and that the fox
Yeah, wow.
brought the fire to the humans. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's quite a magical thing, because it really connects us back to, again, with for the children, the whole idea that humans' survival is dependent upon the wisdom of animals, is a new way of looking at it. Whereas there are other creation myths and stories that it comes from a god or it comes from somewhere else. Whereas I like being more down to earth about some of the stories and the themes as well. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's actually I would love to be in that class. I would love to be one of the children. So are you going to be
Yeah.
talking about fire, telling the story about how fire came to be, and
Yeah.
you'll be doing fire, making fire with the children, right?
Yeah, we'll be rubbing sticks. Well, I'll be showing them how to rub sticks together and make
Yeah.
fire in that way. Um, yeah, most. But talking of fire, in my after-school club, one of the most popular activities during the forest school after-school club is at the moment the kids really want to learn to make fires and practice
Yeah, for
keeping them.
sure.
I give them a little fire bowl to make a fire in, and then the challenge is to keep that
Mhm.
going for 3 minutes or more if they can. And yesterday, a couple of kids were like, "We've done 23 minutes, Mr. Holland. It's so cool." And it's like, oh,
Wow.
well done them for keeping a fire going. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and that in a way that's reflective of the human spirit. I see it as, if they can keep a fire going and look after their spirit, then you know they're strong-hearted, strong-souled children. Yeah,
Yeah, to keep it going. And also,
mm.
it's probably the fundamental building blocks of technology.
Absolutely. Yeah, completely. Yeah, without it, we wouldn't be able to have made
Yeah,
mobile phones or
it's
created any of this binary stuff either. Yeah, it's amazing.
yeah, it's just. And so, can you tell us about your classes? Tell us about your day. I know you've got a very busy day lined up today. So, how
Mm.
how does it? Can you like give us an insight of how your life is like?
Yeah, well, at the moment on this, or 2 days of the week, I'm sort of doing one-to-one mentoring outdoors with some sort of special needs children, and I work with a number of other educators, and we work on a different small holding, but we have animals that need caring for, and the land that needs caring for, and also sort of different traditional crafts that we do through the year. So that's I do that 2 days a week, and I love that. And then today, I have the sort of morning free to do some admin, and then at lunchtime I have a lunchtime club with 8 children that could do with a break from the busyness of the playground, and so they come out to the woods with me. And like yesterday, I had a new group, and they are for us what we call year one and year two children, and they basically wanted me to be the big bad wolf, and they
Oh,
wanted to make little dens and me to come and pretend to come and blow them down and stuff. So we kind of did that for 25 minutes. Um, so they have like 40 minutes, and then I have two classes, um, which are split in half. So I have 15 children at a time, and I'm doing some more structured, what we've been calling passport to nature sessions, which are I'm there basically to teach them some basic skills of shelter building with sticks, shelter building with tarps, using ropes to do basic knots, how to light fire, how to use simple tools, for whittling, and we do a group big shelter um, challenge, and we also do an environmental art, land art based challenge as well.
oh, I
So
love it.
and it's a sort of 6 week program with each class through the whole school. So I'm doing that, and then I have an after school club with 20 kids who come out to the little woodland, and that's a more free play, I suppose. But I do end up doing quite a lot of chasing children around the woods because they seem to like, they like hide and seek games a lot. So I try and really meet them where they're at, and
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that's it keeps me young and fit anyway. That's the main thing.
Yeah, and unstructured play is what they need. Large
Mm,
blocks of unstructured play.
yeah,
So,
they really need it.
yeah, I'm just so interested. The woodland is right next to the school, and
Mm.
you can just walk to it. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're incredibly fortunate, and it was part of the school grounds that was planted
Wow.
by, yeah, by a visionary teacher, sort of 40 years ago, and so a lot of the parents of the children who are there now were children in the school at the time when the trees were planted.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a really lovely thing to have
Yeah.
happened. Yeah. Mm,
Very fortunate to have those kinds of grounds.
mm,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I'm grateful
Yeah.
for it every day.
Because I think
Yeah.
here, even here, we live in kind of like suburbia. You can kind of describe it as a typical suburb, and it's really hard for me to find a decent woodland that's
Uh-huh.
in the location for for the schools of my local community. So,
Mm,
I have to go to the schools and use the forest garden, the school garden.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
And they're not, it's not very big. Well, what sort of size is your area?
Oh, it's not
How
very
many
big.
meters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not big at all, and it's a garden, but then just getting the children, just getting the permission to go outside and to
Hmm.
learn outside instead of inside the classroom with four walls and with no ventilation is like it's like a big debate. I always have to feel like
Mm,
I'm the rebel and I'm the black sheep.
yeah,
And I'm always
absolutely.
breaking the rules. So I always have like a lot of resources handy just in case anyone questions me and I can just whip it out and be like, here.
Hmm. Mm.
But
Yeah, it's really tough for so many educators, isn't it, who kind of really believe about getting their children or helping their children have time in nature, to actually access a little bit of green space to play in. Yeah, it's really tough. Mm.
it is. And so I guess that's one reason why we're so blessed that you came up with this really good book. And
Oh,
I also want to make sure I get buy myself a copy of the hardbound of it. Yes.
mm-hmm. There it is.
How
Yeah,
beautiful that is. The printed one.
I,
Oh, I
yeah, it's
love
much
my
nicer
world.
now. Yeah, so there it is.
There it is.
Um,
Okay, so to all the viewers out there, Chris is so, so kind. He is gifting three of you a copy of this. So how shall we do this, Chris? How are we go we
I
have
think we.
a few we have got some really we've got some participants here, some viewers who have been coming in to say hi and give us some of their love. Some are watching from the Philippines. Hello, good
Yeah,
evening, everyone, to all
yeah,
of you who are
good evening.
watching. So
Hmm.
we have some excited people out here, and I'm sure this is going to really help anyone out there because
I
when
hope
it
so.
comes to learning outside, we're still left in the dark. We need some light.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
your book is
we
the
do.
light.
Well, I think it is pretty beautiful. Yeah, it has got some really good feedback. But yeah, it will be for the online, the PDF sort of ebook version of it. Yeah, but it still looks very beautiful.
Yeah, the
Um,
content is what matters.
yeah, yeah. So maybe if we get anyone who sort of posts a comment today, I can't see anybody's name, so
I
you,
can't
we might.
see your names as well. So if
How does it
any
work?
if you would want a copy of this book, first come, first serve. Can you comment below right now? Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us your name and tell us one thing you love about the outdoors. So,
Yeah,
three things, okay? Tell us where you're watching from, tell us your name, and what you love about the outdoors. So, if you're watching right now, once again, to all the viewers, you get the chance to get a free copy of Chris Holland's book, I Love My World. This is actually a really good book that sold over 7,000 copies. It's
yeah. Over
self-published.
12 now.
Over
Yeah, I haven't.
12,000. Wow. Over 12,000 copies. So if you are watching right now and if you would want a copy, a free copy of this book, Please comment below. Tell us where you're watching from, what your name is, and what you love about the outdoors. Okay, Emmanuel Ronquillo, and his fiance Crizel. Hello from the
Mm.
Philippines. Outdoors is a classroom with complete learning materials. Totally agree. Leaves, twigs, rocks, and streams. So, congratulations, Emmanuel. You get a cup.
Woo!
Woo! Thank you once again, Chris, for sharing this. I know that the
Pleasure.
viewers here, those are going to get the copies, are really going to make the most out of it.
I hope so. Yay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
good.
we have one winner. One winner who came in and told us, Emmanuel and Chriselle, you get a copy of this book. So congratulations. And if any of you want to have a copy, you can either buy it from Chris's site, or you can comment right now and tell us your name, where you're watching from, and what you love about nature and the outdoors. So
Yeah.
yeah. So we can keep going. We can keep this interview going. And I just wanted to quickly ask you about natural musicians. You talked
Hmm.
about this program that you first came out with, and
Mm.
can you share what this program's about? Sounds very interesting.
Yeah, sure. So, natural musicians is a whole range of different activities that we can do to help people connect with place and with their own sort of musical creativity um, through just simple musical activities. And it came about from me trying to teach people how to play didgeridoo and how to help them write their own music. And because there is no written language for didgeridoo, or musical language for didgeridoo, I started using found natural objects to represent sound shapes that we were making or rhythmic patterns that we were making on the didgeridoo, and then people could write their own music. And I realized that most of these activities I could do in terms of with using percussion or our voices to do that outdoors, in forest school setting or outdoor learning setting, and that as a percussionist and a drummer, um, I feel it very, very connecting to the other musicians. So with and it's very much about listening as well, because we have to listen to each other to play music properly. So the natural musicians activities are a combination of percussion, observation, interpretation of nature, and bringing people together in a sort of in harmony, in conversation, and I think it really helps sort of bring a sense of wonder, which to our time outdoors, because people love singing together as well, and it really bonds us together. So I was the other day, for example, one of the things I do a lot is um, a name drumming round. So we use the syllables of our name to make a rhythmic pattern. So if I had shaky eggs in my hands, I could be going Christopher Holland, Christopher Holland, or Christopher Holland. And it makes a different shape, different sound. So I got a whole bunch of educators um, who were doing this, because this was at a workshop I was teaching the other day, to all make a rhythmic pattern with their shaky egg and their names, and then I got them all to join in on a pulse so that we were all playing our names together all at the same time to make a musical piece. And then I explained to them that this what is what it might be like if you went into a whole meadow of grasshoppers and crickets, because all of these different insects have a different sound vibration. They're making a different sound with the shape of the way that they move their legs, and so it was a way of really connecting to the um, the world of grasshoppers and crickets but in the same way as you could connect with that if you were going into a rainforest or some other kind of habitat through the sound. Um, so these activities I do with kids, I do with teachers, I do with occasionally get the chance to do them with sort of grown-ups in a leadership or a business setting as well. And each time it's about connecting to nature and each other as well. And so yeah, I've created an online video course as well for that because then I can spread this idea around the world in a lot more easy way than traveling under a much lower carbon footprint too.
Oh,
Yeah,
yay. I was just going to
there you
ask
go.
you if you've got an online course because
Mm.
that's something
Yeah,
I would really be interested in. And I'm sure many educators and many parents would love that because I think there's some sort of method to that. And that's something really new to me as well.
yeah, you can find all of my stuff at natureconnection.co.uk. That's the
Okay,
website.
I'll make sure to put the link
Connection.
here. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Great.
we're just concluding. Do we have
Oh, thank you.
anyone else? Okay, so to all the viewers right now, if you're still watching us, okay, we've got two more copies to give out.
Hmm.
And these two copies are copies of Chris Holland's book, I Love My World. It's sold over
Yes,
12,000 copies. It's that
it
good.
has. It's
Yeah.
that good. Yeah. Um, and I think the best thing for me to do is if I can give you those coupons, Bettina, then you could pass it on to Emmanuel
Okay, perfect.
and whoever else in your group. Yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone else is watching right now and wants a free copy of this book, please make sure to comment and tell us what your name is, where you're watching from, and what you love about outdoors. Just three things. And the book's all yours. So
Hmm. It's pretty
now,
easy.
yeah, comment while we conclude. And Chris, thank you so much. We are so honored, so honored
It's
to
a
have you.
pleasure. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice to meet you. Nice to
Nice to
meet you,
meet you
Bettina, and
too.
everyone else.
Yeah, and do you have one last tip, for that parent out there or that educator out there probably doesn't have a big space, a big outdoor area. I know there's so many people in this group who live in the city and they don't really have access to outdoor areas. So if there's one thing that you can share with our viewers tonight on how they can share the love for nature to their children, what would it be?
Well, I think learning to listen to the birds in a really attentive way, spend time listening to the birds and what their songs are, and get to know them because the birds can fly across walls. They're always well. Hopefully, they'll always be around, and yeah, the bit of joy that can come from watching your local birds because they're all individuals and learning to kind of see them as people rather than just birds. And because they are persons as well, and they all have an individual voice, and get to know their names and what they sound like, and they're different sounds when they are feeling different things. Because birds, will have a certain call that shows that they are worried or they are kind of happy, or oh look, there's a cat coming, or something like that. So yeah, have a go at listening to and getting to understand the language of your feathered friends near your house. That would be wonderful.
Oh, that's such a beautiful tip. And
Mm,
okay, I know this might sound a little sad, but then what if there are no birds? Because like in my country, uh,
mm,
in the city especially, like all wildlife is kind of obsolete. Like people will actually catch the birds and eat them. So
yeah,
there's barely any
that's
wildlife.
true.
Yeah.
Mm, wow. I guess that's one way of getting to know nature as well is to eat it. If that's part of the culture.
Survival.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Um, well, I would. What would I suggest in that case? I don't know. I guess you've got to start sort of really simple and start growing some simple plants in a pot. It's just grow some of your favorite herbs if you can, and put aside a little bit for some of the other creatures. Because I think if people aren't growing, um, it happens here in England too. It's very much that in the city area that we have now dominated the landscape, and the creatures don't have anywhere to live. So even this is one of the fascinating facts that in 1 teaspoon of really good quality soil in the ground, there are more tiny little creatures than there are people on this planet in one
Wow.
teaspoon of soil, of good soil. So it
Wow.
just and all of those tiny little creatures, they will help support um, the life of the plant that grows there. And even if we have one little pot or two little pots of some nice little plants near where you live, that's providing habitat for, just think, millions of tiny little creatures,
Millions,
which
billions
are
of
part,
creatures. Yeah.
yeah, um, and those will help support the rest of the life on this planet. And if everybody had a little tree or a little bush in their urban garden, it would be a one step towards helping the planet have some more oxygen and creatures to have a little bit more food, etc. Yeah.
Beautiful. What a beautiful tip. And
Oh, thank
very
you.
well explained and expounded on. We're so
Mm,
honored again to have you tonight and to celebrate
pleasure.
World Classroom Outdoor Days. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for
Such a
joining
pleasure,
us.
Bettina. Yeah. Lovely
Thank
to meet you.
you, and congratulations to the winner, Emmanuel.
Hmm.
And if anyone will be watching the replay, we still have two to give away. So if you're watching the replay or if you're watching it live now, make sure you come in, tell us where you're watching from, tell us your name, and what you love about outdoors. And this book is all yours. So this live will be up on our page, and I will be putting it on our YouTube, and I'll also be sending it out to the email list tomorrow. And to all of you viewers who have come in and you have gave us some company tonight, thank you so much. It's always such a pleasure to be doing these lives with all of you and to be sharing the beauty of learning, especially learning outdoors. Thank you once again, Chris, and
That's a
good
pleasure.
night and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank
Take care.
you. Bye bye
Bye.
now. Bye, everyone.